Hi. So recently I have enrolled for VCF workshop, and it is a 4-day program. Since VMware has been going through a lot of changes, so I thought of recording that for my future reference. It might be helpful for some other people. I'll record the VCF lab and try to cover up all the things, study material what they have shared. So it will be easy for me to refer in future. So VCF installer is the first thing they have mentioned in their study material. VCF installer is a virtual appliance used to deploy VCF, which has been replacing the VCF 5.x cloud builder appliance. It has two mode, installer mode and SDDC manager mode. Installer mode is used to deploy multiple VCF platform deployed outside the VCF management domain. Deploy a separate SDDC manager appliance. SDDC manager mode is used when converged vSphere infrastructure is deployed. Deploying inside the VCF management domain. During VCF deployment, installer switch to VCF manager mode. So downloading product binaries, VCF installer, we have to download the binaries. After deploying the VCF installer, you must download product binaries. Choose online or offline depot. Online connects to the internet either directly or through proxy, and offline is not connected to the internet. That is mainly used for the dark sites. And VCF downloader tool to the manually retrieve the product binaries. So you can use the VCF download tools to download so that it can be done offline. And then there's a VCF fleet overview. So VCF Foundation has introduced the concept of fleet. You can deploy a new VCF fleet, or you can deploy a VCF fleet in the existing VCF fleet. So deploying a new VCF fleet results in new VCF operation instance, new VCF automation instance, new VCF management domain. Deploying a new VCF instance to the existing VCF fleet, you will deploy the new VCF management domain. The management domain will be new in both the scenarios, but your VCF automation and VCF operation instances are will be joined. It will not be deployed separately, but in case of the new one, you will deploy the new VCF instance. So deploying and managing multiple VCF instances. VCF fleet with a single VCF instance. You have VCF fleet, VCF ops, and VCF auto, and VCF fleet with a multiple VCF instance in a single region. So you have multiple VCF instance. Each of them are having their own SDC manager in one instance, and they have their own NSX and storage. And one VCF fleet is having a one VCF ops and VCF auto. And if VCF fleet is deployed with the multiple VCF instances, so in here, each VCF fleet will have one VCF ops, one VCF auto, and each location will can have multiple VCF instances, and each instances will have one SDDC manager for the VCF instance, and then we have NSX, storage, and vCenter. So this is the overall deployment and management of the multiple VCF instance, how we can deploy and manage. So VCF instance deployment models. So there are simple and HA deployment models. Simple deployment model, single instance of NSX, VCF ops, and VCF auto. Minimal footprint and target edge, robot, test, dev, and POCs. HA deployment model is having a multiple instance NSX, VCF ops, VCF auto, component level redundancy to ensure high availability, and target production deployment. So HA is like more like a production. The simple deployment is more like a testing. Simple versus high availability deployment. In simple, we require seven required appliances and seven optional appliances. In HA, we have 13 required appliances and 11 optional appliances. So let's see what are the required one in the simple. We need vCenter server, definitely, STDC manager, NSX manager, fleet management, VCF ops, VCF ops collector, and VCF auto. Optionals are VIDB, NSXH, VCF logs, VKS. And in high availability, there are 13 required, so and 11 optional. In required, we have one vCenter, one SDDC manager, three NSX manager, then one fleet management, then VCF ops. We have three, and then one VCF ops collector, and three VCF auto. And optional are VIDB, NSXH, VCF logs, and VKS. So if we count these are total seven, and these are three, three, six, one, seven, eight, nine, nine, three more. It is 12, and then 1, 13 total. 13 are required for basic deployment. And once it has been deployed, this is how it looks like in case of the simple deployment. In case of HA deployment, this is how it looks like. These many instances you will be having running on the vCenter. So let's perform the lab, deploying a new VCF instance. It's a simulation. It's not an exact lab for deployment. And here we'll demonstrate using HA deployment model. So it will have a fleet deployment, includes a vCenter, SDDC manager, NSX, VCF, what we just saw in the presentation. Let's start the interactive simulation. In here, it is saying click login. Okay, we log into VCF installer. This installer will be deployed during the OVA deployment, and then we'll set the FQDN, and that FQDN is used to connect. Once you log in, then click on deployment setting and binary management. So in here we are downloading the binaries. So there are two type of depots that can be configured on VCF installer. Online depot. If the VCF installer has internet connectivity, you use the online depot to connect directly to the Broadcom software. And if you have an offline depot, you do not have a direct internet access, you can set up an offline depot. This involves using the VCF deployment tool together with the local web server to stage the VCF binary to the local repository that can be accessed by the VCF installer. So we are using online depot in this simulation. So click on configure. These token field, click on token field to enter. This token field is generated from the sport.broadcom.com to connect online depot. So once this has been done, then the binaries will authenticate, and this token field is being used for authentication. After you authenticate and depot's connection state is activated, just scroll this down and install all these softwares. We are installing vCenter, NSX, VCF Fleet, VCF Ops, Operation Collector, VCF Operations, VCF Automation, and STDC Manager. Click on download. Then the download will be initialized. Once this is done, then we are ready to do the VCF 9 deployment. Click here, return to the home. Click on, once the binaries are downloaded after connecting online, then click on deploy wizard. Click on VMware Cloud Foundation, and then we will have two options of VCF fleet. One is new and other one is to have existing VCF fleet. We are going with the new one. So as we mentioned in VCF fleet, when you are deploying new, then we'll have a new VCF operation and VCF automation. And if we are joining the existing, we'll join the existing VCF operation and VCF automation, but it will have its own VCF fleet management. Click on continue. Now, since we have mentioned existing, new, so existing component, select the existing component you want to reuse in the VCF fleet. You will be asked to provide details about the existing component later in the deployment wizard. So VCF installer validate the selected components. Since RA is a new one, we don't have an existing VCF operation of existing VMware vCenter. So we'll click next. In here, we provide the VCF instance name and management domain. Here we give the DNS name, DNS, and these are the general information, just the naming. Once this is done, then we'll specify for the VCF operations the details, what should be the size and FQD and credentials. Then what should be the load balancer, because VCF operations will have 3 instances as we saw in this lab. This will have 3, and we in the simulation we are doing the HA. That's why it need a load balancer. Click next. Then we'll have a VCF automation. VCF automation will also have 3 instances. So in here we specify the node IPs. Click next. Now we'll specify vCenter, FQDN, what should be the vCenter size, and then here are the credentials. Click next. Then it's all about the NSX. Like in NSX, we have 3 instances for NSX manager. So appliance 1 FQDN, appliance 2 FQDN, appliance 3 FQDN, and then the cluster FQDN. Provide the credentials. Then we have a storage to specify. It can be vSAN, FC 5 channel, or an FSv3. So in this case, we are using vSAN. We'll provide the vSAN architecture, that it is vSAN OSA. Credentials, fault tolerance is 1. Click next. Here are the host which has been used for our deployment, the cluster. So we confirm the footprint. Now this footprint is being used for fleet VCF instance management. Click next. Then we provide the network information. So this network information. You can optionally combine the management and VM management on the same network, thus reduce the number of network and VLAN by one. This example of the vSAN as a network storage network, if NFS was being used as the principal storage type, the NFS network would have replaced the vSAN network. So we have vSAN network, we have vMotion network, and this is ESX management network. So by default, the four network defined on previous page are configured as a separate distributed port group in a single distributed switch. However, VCF installer allow you to customize a distributed switch topology based upon your requirement. For example, you can choose to deploy multiple distributed switch in order to separate the vSAN traffic or a NSX TEP traffic on a separate physical NIC. In this example, you will configure the two virtual distributed switch in order to have a separate vSAN storage onto a separate distributed switch. Click on next. Select storage traffic separation. So first distributed switch name is management C101 VDS01 and will be used for ESX management. Then VM management, vMotion and NSX traffic. The second VDS switch is named as MGMT C101 VDS02, which will be used by vSAN traffic. This topology allow you to separate the vSAN traffic to the separate traffic physical NIC in our VCF management domain. Take note of the red dot next to the VCF virtual distributed switch named MGMT C101. This indicates the additional configuration is required. To expand, click on expand. Click on expand. Scroll down. Here you see the additional information is required to configure the ESXi host TEPs. In this example, each host has 4 physical NICs because you choose to do the storage separation. 2 VDS will be created. 2 of the host P NICs will be assigned to first VDS, MGMT C101 VDS01, and remaining 2 will be assigned to the second VDS. And with this topology, each ESX host will have 2 NICs assigned to each virtual switch. As such, each host will be assigned to 2 TEP address, and to facilitate the addressing the TEP IP address on each host, you will configure the NSX IP pool. Click on VLAN ID. We gave a VLAN ID and an IP pool. Then pool name, description. Here we provide the setting of the NSX IP pool. This includes the VLAN ID along with the range of IPs which will be used to assign the addresses to the host TEP. After VCF deployment, fleet deployment is done, you will review the IP pool setting in NSX. Click the scroll bar to the up. So this is used for an ESX management, and this one will be used for storage management, vSAN traffic. Then click on next. So the 2 NICs are used here, vNIC. Click next. Provide the credential for SDDC manager So in here we provide the FQDN credentials, FQN VCF password, administrative password. Click next. In here we'll review the summary of all the details which we have specified for VCF operation, VCF automation, VCS center, NSX managers, and then the information about the networking and storage and SDDC manager. So yeah, it contains all that summary. Once it has been reviewed, we can have a JSON preview of all that information as well and download this JSON specification for future reference and keep it as a backup. Then click next, and after some time once this check has been done, validation has been done, we'll click on deploy, which help us in preparing the ESXi host, deploying the vCenter server, SDDC manager, vServer cluster, deploy and configure NSX, deploy and configure VCF operations to include the VCF manager, fleet manager and the operation collector appliance, and deploy the VCF automation. So once this is done, scroll down, expand this. It will list all the deployments which has been done using VCF installer. You can review the summary of the task in here. Then click cross, open a vCenter, open VCF operation UI, log into the VCF operations. In here, click on administration, integration. You will see the information like what's the VCF fleet, how many management nodes for the NSX managers are there. Then click on inventory. This is our vCenter. So as a part of VCF fleet deployment, VCF instance was automatically registered with the VCF operations. And then in here, we can see this VCF fleet management. In that, we have SDDC manager, we have VCF center data center, and this is our ESXi cluster. Click on actions after selecting the VCF SDDC management. Open the vCenter server. So this is a vCenter instance where we are logging in. So we can manage the VCF cluster here. So it shows we have what kind of deployment we have. We have SDDC ops, then an XX manager, then vCenter, we have ops collector, and these three are VCF auto. Click plus, then click on NSX management. This is the NSX cluster which has been deployed. Click on systems. It shows 3 management. Host transport nodes are 6. Click on fabric. Click on host. Expand this. You'll see the NSX being configured on all of these ESXi hosts. Since we specified the network pool, NSX TPs will be configured. Click on an IP pool. Check the detail. In here, we can see the IP pool has been defined. We specify the IP pool host TP pool, and out of 99, 12 has been used. Close this one. So this is our ACXI cluster. Click on this, one of the host. Click on inventory. Click on fleet management. This is our fleet management. In here we can see all of the ESXi host. Then life cycle. Here you see the overview of the management component deployed as a part of VCF fleet. In this example, two components has been deployed, VCF operation and VCF automation. Under VCF operation, select the manage to view detail about the VCF operation deployment. Click on manage. Click on topology. So this is a topology of VCF operations. We have primary, replica, data, and cloud proxy, then collector. Click on overview. Then click on, this is for the VCF automation. Click on manage. Check the topology. We have 3 instances for VCF automation as mentioned in here. Then click on VCF installer. So this is this is a complete simulation of deploying VCF in a HA or mode, high availability deployment, and this is how we do, and it's a simulation only in this particular lab which we are done. Thank you.